So let's get started. First player I want to talk about, Dominic Sprouse. He's a class of 2028 West Virginia kid. He's 6'4". He won the state title, game MVP with George Washington High School out of West Virginia last season. He's one of those prospects with combination of size and shooting ability. It immediately gets your attention. At 6'4", with good size for the backcourt, his ability to stretch the floor is the major part of what makes him so intriguing. Dominic averaged 16.2 points per game while shooting a red hot 43.6% from three. Those numbers don't just tell you about somebody who's occasionally gets hot from the outside. He's demonstrated the ability to consistently make perimeter shots, but I don't look at Dominic as just a shooter. He's a combo guard who has the ability to play both on and off the basketball. The next step is expanding everything around the shooting. Can he become more dynamic off the bounce? Can he consistently make plays for other people? Or, can he use that 6'4" size to become an impactful defender? If those areas, continue developing, his season or ceiling rises considerably. From a recruiting standpoint, Dominic, already has offers from KCU, Fairmount State, West Virginia Wesleyan, Pittsburgh, Johnstown, and West Virginia State. But he's also received interest from a multitude of programs, D1 from UT Martin to Army to South Alabama, Northern Illinois, and Youngstown State. And remember, he's just a 2028. He's going to go on a few visits. I know he's going to go, I think, to Youngstown State for their opening football game. He went up there. He went on a visit to their elite camp, played very well. Him and his dad, Vic, they spoke with the coach. Coach really likes him. So they're going to go up for a visit for a football game. Dominic is the kid that doesn't, make a lot of mistakes on the floor. He's very efficient. He has the ability to, really stretch the floor at 6'4". So, I look for him to, play at the D1 level, a mid-major kid. And, he's still a 2028 number one kid in West Virginia in the WVSAAC. I know there's a couple kids at Huntington Expression Prep, 7-foot kids in the 2028 class that are, above him. But as far as regular high school teams or players, I see Dominic as is the number one kid in that class. There's still significant time for his body, his game, and his recruitment to develop. If I'm talking to a college coach, which I do, I'm starting with three things with him. He's 6'4", he's a 2028, and he's a proven perimeter shooter, and shooting translates at the next level. That's Dominic Sprouse, and he's a college prospect that college coaches should continue tracking. Like I said, he's going on visits. He's getting contacted every day. I know Concord is reaching out. Wolford, he's going on a visit. So he's got visits lined up. He has some things going on. I really love that kid. He's high academic, over a 4.0 GPA, taking advanced classes. So I really, really, really like Dominic. I really like the kid he is, his game. And I look for Dominic to play in the D1 air level, maybe low or mid, but look for him, his recruitment to continue heating up. The next kid I want to talk about, a player, is a 2029 kid, Graham Schutz out of Paintsville High School, 6-foot guard. Eastern Kentucky kid. He's another young guard with a translatable skill already developing at a high level, and he can shoot the basketball. He's shown the ability to shoot the ball at behind the arc at a 39% clip. For a 2029 player, that's an excellent foundation. But for the goal for Graham is not to, become known as just a shooter. Once he gets stronger, becomes more explosive, and continues improving as a ball handler and playmaker, we're going to learn a lot more about what, his eventual ceiling can be. One upcoming opportunity I'm excited about is the Paul Biancardi camp, NYBA, on September 19th, down in Nashville. As most of you know, Paul Biancardi is ESPN's top guy evaluator. They've asked me to come down there and do some evaluations and write-ups. But that's a great opportunity for Graham to go down, be evaluated, keep building his name. If I'm a college coach and I'm looking at Graham today, I'm not evaluating him as a finished product. I'm saying here's a 2029 guard who already has a legitimate shooting skill, I mean, legitimate shooting skill. Let's watch where everything else goes. I know he works really hard with his dad, Clint. They're in the gym a lot. Clint tells me that, he's a gym rat, and you need to be a gym rat if you're going to play at the next level. Graham Schutz is definitely a young prospect worth tracking. Next kid, another West Virginia kid is, I mean, not West Virginia, but an Eastern Kentucky kid. He's also a 2029, and that's Jackson Johnson, 6'3" guard out of Betsy Lane High School. The word I like to use when I talk about Jackson is efficiency. His shooting splits around 46% from the field, 44% from three, and an incredible 94% from the free throw line. When you're talking about a young guard with those kinds of shooting percentages, particularly from the three and the free throw line, I'm really paying attention. And he's 6'3". Now I want to see how complete of a guard he can become. Can he create off the bounce? Can he attack defenders, that run him off the 3-point line, try to take that away from him? And can he become a consistent playmaker, use his size effectively? Can he use it defensively? And, the exciting thing about him is he's a 2029 prospect. A lot of development ahead. I know he works hard with his dad. I think it's Ethan. And, if I'm talking to a college coach today, you know, a 6'3" guard, he's got plenty of time to develop. He's demonstrated high level shooting efficiency. Uh, I'd like to put his name or, on a long term watch list. Uh, he's also having the opportunity. He's going to attend the Next Up camp. It's September the 12th. I think it's at Asbury in Lexington. So that's going to give him a great opportunity to play with other players across the state, high level kids, get some more exposure. I think he may be going to the Tennessee Wesleyan camp as well. I spoke to Coach Casey today. Coach Casey doesn't want any more than 30 kids. When you get more than 30, it's hard to do proper evaluation. So hopefully he goes down there. But I really, really like this kid. He piqued my interest when he reached out. Like I said, he's 6'3", shoots the ball at a high clip, from the field, from the 3-point line, and 94% from the free throw line. Just that's incredible, especially at that young age. Very, very promising. My next kid on the roster, Chase Harmon. Really, really like this kid as well. He's a 2028 kid, a 5'8" point guard out of Clinton County High School. And, he's somebody that I tell coaches, watch the player before you judge the measurement. Yes, he is 5'8", but he's also extremely athletic with a 36-inch vertical, advanced ball handling ability, and an ability to create separation. Very strong kid. One guy I spoke to, a parent about him, he said he looked like a linebacker, and he's very well built. Again, he's 5'8", but a 36-inch vertical. One of the things I really love about him is his ability to change pace. A lot of guards can play fast, but that's different from understanding when to play fast. Chase can manipulate defenders with his handle, change speeds, create separation, and get himself into positions where he can score and create for his teammates. He's got pace, he's got poise and vision. The next step I think for him is becoming a more consistent 3-point shooter. If defenders have to constantly, respect Chase from behind the line, his ability to attack becomes more difficult to defend. He's also an excellent student with a 4.14 GPA while taking honors classes. That shows very high level of maturity, especially for me. 10 years in this business. When you look at GPAs, that almost always correlates to maturity. Prep Soup Kentucky has him ranked as the number 10 point guard in the class, number 47 overall in Kentucky's 2028 class, which the class of 2028 is loaded. So, those numbers are solid numbers, not from like years past. In my evaluation of Chase, I grade him at 8.4 out of 10. His current projections, high level NIA, but I think his ceiling is he could reach the D1 even at 5 foot. If I'm talking to college coaches or when I do, I don't evaluate him by his height beside his name. Evaluate the player. Watch his handles, watch his pace, especially his 36-inch vertical with his athleticism, and watch his decision making, which is going to translate at the collegiate level. And that right there is Chase Harmon. Very excited to work with him. Next is Gavin Groves, a kid that we picked up on the roster this past weekend. 6'5". He's a senior. Muhlenberg County. Gavin brings something college coaches are always looking for, and that's positional size. He played basketball this summer, mostly with Kentucky Ambition on the Made Hoop circuit, where he got to experience the speed of faster guards, not in county ball in Kentucky. And he also finished the summer with Kentucky Supreme. And he has an interesting combination of size, athleticism, and perimeter skill. In my evaluation, I graded his size and frame at an 8.5, athleticism is 8.5, and his shooting at 8.4. He's very capable, and he is a really, really very solid rebounder at the guard position. The challenge for him is becoming a complete guard. Tighten his handle a little bit, improve the decision making, become more consistent creating offense against high level defenders. Because when you take a 6'5" size athleticism and shooting, start adding playmaking and consistency, you have something interesting. And college coaches recruiting the 2027 class should evaluate Gavin Groves and take a really hard look. I really see Gavin Groves dominating this year, his senior year at Muhlenberg County. I watched some summer ball clips his dad sent over. He had a 32-point game, and he filled the stat line. It wasn't just 32 points, 17-point games. Like he has a lot of skills that translate to the next level. So I'm very, very excited that I get to, work with him and try to get him to the next level. Next player is a Tennessee kid, Gavin Dabney, another 6'5", 2027 guard. He's out of Jellicoe High School in Tennessee. He's at the combo position. He has a 6'6" wingspan and a 28-inch vertical. But what makes him interesting isn't really his measurements. His game is built around shooting, passing, and controlling the pace. I really, really like guards who understand playing either at the point guard position. Doesn't mean dribbling the ball 20 times per possession. They understand how to be efficient, save their energy for the defensive end, and college coaches aren't looking for and one mixtape dribbling. They want you to be able to protect the ball, facilitate, and score. Get your teammates involved. Can you recognize what that game needs? Can you make the right read? That's what they're looking for. Can you settle your guys down? Create for other people. Those are important qualities that translate to the next level. At 6'5", Gavin, he has the ability to see over smaller defenders and potentially become a versatile defensive player. When I introduce him to coaches, 2027, 6'5" combo guard, 6'6" wingspan. He can shoot and pass, has a great feel for the game. I really like his attack game as well. Finishes well through contact. So he's very, very intriguing, worth evaluating. That's Gavin Dabney. My next prospect on the roster, she's our first girl. She's a dual sport athlete. It's Kyla Walker Lowe. She's a 2029 player. She's 6'3", out of Chaminade, Julian. I think that's how you say it in Ohio. They won the state title last year, so she's a winner. Uh, she is unique because she's a dual sport athlete in basketball and volleyball. She's 6'3". Her volleyball background gives her a lot of experience with timing, coordination, jumping, and blocking and reacting quickly. During the summer on the 3SSB, she had one game where she had 8 blocks. She plays very well down on the block, great in the pick and roll situation. Playing varsity volleyball and club volleyball with Dojo Volleyball, as a middle hitter, and she's recorded a 20.5-inch vertical. On the basketball side, I see the long term development lens. At 6'3", how versatile can she come? work on her footwork, her hands, become a better finisher, learn how to stretch the floor, develop that jumper, like I said, put the basketball down on the deck, and becoming comfortable defending in space. Again, she's a 2029 player, so there's no reason to put a ceiling on her right now. But her top college interests for volleyball include Nebraska, Pitt, Texas, Howard, and North Carolina. She has multiple paths available for her. So for basketball coaches, she's 6'3", dual sport athlete. She's worth monitoring as her skill set continues to develop. Next guy is West Virginia kid, 6'9", Kirk Akers out of George Washington High School. 6'9", 194 pounds, center forward. He plays the 4 and 5. Plays with Radford Elite on the Under Armour Rise circuit. What makes him really intriguing is he's 6'9" and he can shoot the ball at a high clip at the perimeter. We're not talking about the traditional big guy whose offensive game is around the block and the rim. He steps away and he makes shots, and that's very valuable and translates to college coaches at the next level. Now the goal is to become more than a 6'9" shooter. He needs to learn how to attack closeouts, improve his handle, become more physical, be more of a rebounder consistently, protect the rim, and continue developing defensively. At 194 pounds, there's also considerable physical development ahead. As he adds functional strength, maintaining that mobility that he has, that shooting touch, that will change his projection and his ceiling. But you cannot teach 6'9", and being able to shoot. For coaches that I'm speaking to, he's going into his senior year. He's 6'9". He can shoot the rock, and he has a tremendous upside. That's Kirk Akers. Our next player, young player, class of 2030 out of Virginia, is a 5'8" guard from Floyd Central. That's Paxton Ashby. Really like this kid. He's the youngest on our roster. I'm not worried about his college projection just yet. Looking at his foundation, how does he handle the basketball? Does he understand the game? How does he compete? How does he respond to pressure? And most importantly, is he consistently getting better? The next few years need to be about developing the complete guard skill set, tighten his handle, become a consistent shooter, learn how to change speeds, become a willing passer, compete defensively, and the younger players listening tonight need to understand something. You don't have to figure your recruitment out in middle school or going into your freshman year. Development should always come first. Paxton just visited Randolph College. It's a D3 elite camp. Played very well. The kid has the next playing mentality, a very good head on his shoulders, a very smart kid. So, really excited to play for him. That's Paxton Ashby. We're excited to have the opportunity to follow his development from an early stage. Next kid I want to talk about is River Woodruff, 2028, 6 foot combo guard out of Muhlenberg County High School. One thing I like about River is he's already been willing to play up against older competition. He competes on the 17U with Kentucky Supreme. Playing against older, stronger guards can really speed up your development. You have to think of the game, you have to understand angles, pace, and spacing. You can't solely rely on your physical advantages. For River, the next step is turning that experience and consistent production. I really like his jumper. He's a 3 level guy. I think he should create for his teammates a little more. He's a very physical guy, complete defensively. He's one of the most physical guys out in Western Kentucky to guard. I've been told by parents out there that going against River, he's going to be very physical with you, and he's a 2028 player. There's a lot of time for him. He's experienced the 17U basketball. I speak to his dad a lot, Seth, or his stepdad. And, we have a friend, Chris. He owns a, a Bleacher Prospect. Chris, I can't think of his name, but, he really likes River as well. I do too. River will play college basketball. I can't wait to see how his senior year turns out. He's very unselfish. He's a hard worker. So I think that experience that he had this summer is going to really help him going into this season. And again, he's a 2028 guard. It's very hard for a 6 foot guard, especially in the 2028 class, to get a lot of recruiting activity due to the transfer portal. But I think River will wind up playing college basketball somewhere. So that's River Woodruff. Number 11, he's a new kid. Britton B.J. Johnson, 2028, out of Bryan Station High School. He attended my camp last year in Madisonville. Really liked this kid. 6'4", he's athletic. He played with Kentucky Arsenal this summer. He averaged 15 and 5. Uh, against older competition as well. He's got size. He can score. He can rebound. Again, he needs to tighten his handle, be more versatile, improve his playmaking, use his size against smaller guards more effectively, and be somebody that can guard and defend multiple positions. But when I introduce him to college coaches, I'm like, this is a 2028 6'4" guard who's already produced against 17U competition. And that's something that, you need to, be able to do is play against older players and compete. So that's Britton Johnson. Number 12 is Jace Owens. This kid also plays for Muhlenberg County. He's a 5'10" guard. He's competed on the AAU side with hardwood hitters. This is another 2030 kid, so his story is just beginning. At this age, again, I'm looking at the foundation more than his projection. He's a pretty solid ball handler, but, he's going to have to learn how to create for his teammates, handle the ball well, have a consistent jump shot, and how is he going to respond when the competition gets bigger, faster, and stronger? I don't want Jace or any young guard out there to become obsessed with just scoring. Learn how to run the offense, make reads, defend, rebound, communicate, understand spacing, and learn to play with and out without the basketball. For Jace, his development is his priority. That's Jace Owens. We're going to have several years to document his progression, and I'm very, very excited about that. Our next player, I'm really excited about this senior. He's a 6'2" guard out of Thomas Nelson High School. That's Tyler Bartley. Tyler already has two offers, one from Tennessee Wesleyan. He's scheduling a visit there. Coach Casey really likes him. He also has a offer from Shawnee Community College. He's in a very important stage of his recruitment. He averaged 16.2 points per game. He's already turning that, into college opportunities. Like I said, he has those two offers. He just received some interest from Rose Holman. And like I said, he's got that opportunity to visit Tennessee Wesleyan. Tyler knows how to score. The next question for every scoring guard is what else can he do? Being able to create for teammates, defend, which he can do those. Can he play alongside a ball dominant guard? And can you impact winning when the shot isn't falling? Those things really matter. And when it comes to Tyler's recruitment, I don't want him chasing logos or collecting offers just to say he has offers. I want him to find the right fit, find where he's wanted, find where he can develop, find where your game fits the system. And for college coaches, he's a 2027 guard. He's got proven varsity production and existing college opportunities. So evaluate the complete player. He was at my camp last year in Madisonville, and former pro Mason Faulkner that played at Louisville was really impressed with his ball handling skills. So Tyler, I really like him. He can score at all three levels. It's just being consistent and seeing where he can develop and finding that right fit. Um, our next kid is Brock Johnson. He's a 6'5" guard out of Wyoming East High School. Legitimate size in the backcourt, but size isn't always enough. He's going to be a big, versatile guard. He needs to tighten his handle a little bit. Great shooter. He's a really good shooter. He passes the ball pretty well. He can create off the bounce, but using that 6'5" frame defensively. If you're not 6'5", we really can't, I guess, waste your size advantage. You can see over the defense. He's able to post smaller guards when he's in there, defend multiple positions. So for Brock, the next step is turning his, potential into consistent production. He has the ability to stretch the floor, I really like his play, but he has that huge upside where he's 6'5". He's in West Virginia, so he has the opportunity to put up big numbers this year at Wyoming East. I'm getting ready to put him with his evaluation list. Reach out to some coaches to see where he stands, and just continue to watch his development. He has 2 years, so that's Brock Johnson. Our next kid, sorry guys, I don't know what's going on, but our next kid is a senior out of Scott County High School, and that's Kylan Fairchild. He's a 6'4" combo guard. I've evaluated Kylan before. His physical profile gives him some versatility. He doesn't have to be locked in to be a pure point guard or a shooting guard. I like for him to be comfortable doing both. Really good shooter. He just needs to work on creating more offense, attacking some closeouts, making the extra pass. In my previous evaluation, I rated him at a 7.2 out of a 10. That's really not his ceiling, that's his snapshot. I want to see how much that grade improves, how much work he can put in because he's a senior, he's a 2027. So this is an important year for him. So production has to start driving the recruitment. He needs to make shots more consistently, become that two-way card, and take care of the basketball. So 2027, 6'4" combo guard, from Scott County, he does have the physical tools and the versatility worth evaluating. Our 16th player is Ashby Chadwick, 6'9" forward out of Tri Cities Academy in Tennessee. Really love this kid. His starting point, he's a 6'9" forward. He can stretch the floor. I really like him in the two-way game or two-man game. He impacts the game in rebounding, finishing. He can protect the rim, and he's physical. He has some offers. Trevecca is really likes him. He likes that school. He has Milligan. There's a few other schools. I can't remember off the top of my head. They're all D2 schools. I see him playing at the D2 level. Like I said, he can stretch the floor. He's a very effective passer in the paint. He's a solid 236-pound, 6'9" player. I look for him to have a big year at Tri Cities in Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky. So, but when the ball goes up, you need to evaluate his production. His size, his motor. He has a great motor, a great IQ. So, I look for him to make a commitment soon. But again, that's a senior 6'9" forward out of Tri Cities. Our next player is Isaiah Brown, another 6'4" guard out of Henry Clay High School. He brings great positional size and versatility. Really love this kid. He's not afraid to jump on the floor. He'll do everything on the floor that you need. He can handle the ball. He can make good decisions. He knocks down perimeter shots. He really likes to defend and rebound. And, I just think his one of the biggest things about Zay is, his value doesn't disappear when his shot isn't falling. He can rebound. He gets his deflections. He can defend the perimeter, makes the extra pass, runs the floor. College coaches notice those things. So consistency, going into his senior year, I think that's big. He has an opportunity at Henry Clay this year to do some things that I don't think he was able to last year. So again, 6'4" guard wing out of Henry Clay. I really like his versatility and how he fits, and everything that he does. He's so versatile. Number 18. This is a kid that I just spoke to today. I don't know much about him except he's a senior, 6'9" out of Shelby Valley High School in Eastern Kentucky. Again, starting point is he's 6'9", so that's going to get like everybody's attention. I do know he does have an offer from Alice Lloyd, so I'm getting ready to evaluate him later tonight or tomorrow. But again, he's 6'9". I look forward to seeing how he can stretch the floor. Does he play in the paint? So I'm going to check him out tonight. Cooper Justice. And Mason Hopkins, a 2029 guard out of Mayfield High School in Kentucky. He's 6 foot. He's our final player. He's another younger prospect where I'm much more interested in his development than putting a label on him right now. There's plenty of time for him. He needs to complete his, the complete guard skill set, tighten his handle a little. He's a really good shooter. I think he should work on learn on changing speeds, tempo, and pace, create advantages, make more plays for his teammates. Understand that development isn't measured entirely by points per game. Learn how to run a team, take care of the ball, understand spacing, communicate with his guys. I'm not willing to put a college projection on him right now, but I really like this kid. I want to see where he's at a year from now, then 2 years from now. But that's when he's going to get into the heart of the recruiting process. I'm pretty sure he's going to attend Coach Casey's camp on September the 12th and 13th. So Coach Casey's going to get to evaluate him, and I think for college coaches following that younger class, to check out Mason Hopkins from Mayfield from their long term evaluation list. And that's the current Pure Prospects roster. What Pure Prospects is all about. Before I wrap this up, I want to explain what this roster and Pure Prospects is really about. I'm not here to promise every kid a D1 offer. I can't promise that, and no one else can. I'm not going to tell every player what they want to hear, but I'm not going to inflate evaluations just to make somebody feel good. That's going to hurt me. That's going to hurt you. That's hurts everybody. But there are a few things I can promise these players and their families. I'm going to put the work in front of the coaches. I'm going to work to make them more visible. I'm going to evaluate them. I'm going to promote them. I'm going to share what I've learned through over a decade of years of scouting and recruiting. And I'm going to do everything within my power to help them and their family reach their goals. But there's the other side to it. The players still have to do their work. Exposure doesn't replace development. A graphic doesn't replace production. A highlight tape doesn't replace being able to play. An email to 100 college coaches doesn't matter if you're not prepared when those coaches come to watch you. My job is to create opportunities. Their job is to be ready when those opportunities come. And another message I want every prospect and parent listening to tonight to hear: don't chase logos. Don't measure recruitment by how many offers someone else has. Don't be obsessed with the rankings, and don't make your recruiting decisions based on what looks impressive on social media. Find the right fit, go where you're wanted, go somewhere you can develop, go somewhere where the coaching staff believes in you. Find a program that fits your game. Find a program where you get an education, and find somewhere where you're going to have the opportunity to compete. We have prospects from the 2027, 28, and 29 and 30 classes. They're not supposed to be all at the same point. Some are going to be recruited right now. Some are building their recruiting profiles. Some need another year or two to develop, and some are so young recruiting shouldn't even be the focus yet. That's okay. Run your race. If you're constantly watching everybody else's race, you're taking attention away from your own. We're going to keep evaluating these players. We're going to keep promoting them. We're going to keep communicating with college coaches, and we're going to keep telling their stories. And as they improve, we're going to continue updating our evals. The roster isn't about these players that they are today. It's about helping them get where they want to go tomorrow. Thank you to every player and family who has trusted me and Pure Prospects to be part of their journey. And thank you for everybody that joined us tonight on Substack. I'm very, very excited about this group of guys and Kyla. I'm excited about what we're building here at Pure Prospects. And most importantly, we're just getting started. This is Pure Prospects, and it's exposure with a purpose. We'll see you guys next time.